Hey, what's up, folks? Um, don't be alarmed by this hair, okay? And don't be alarmed if you hear me yell "shut up" to the dogs over and over again because they're kind of going nuts. We have 5 of them in the house now, and anyway, this is what happens when you've been wearing a beanie and 3 layers of clothing and all that stuff for the last week. Um, Ice storm in northern Mississippi. I'm actually in Panola County. It's bad, really bad. What my family did, my youngest daughter works at a hotel and she has been staying there since last Friday. My oldest daughter's boyfriend decided to drive over from Lafayette County and, stay with her. And this was like Friday, maybe Friday night. I'm not sure. It might have been Saturday night. I'm unsure at this point. I can't recall everything. But Friday night was fine. Some sleet, that was okay. Saturday night at my house was fine. I was watching television, and then after midnight, roughly 2 a.m., the freezing rain started coming down. And when it started coming down, it didn't look that bad at first. And then about 3 a.m., it started coming down harder, and the lights went out. The power went out. So I actually woke my daughter up. I was like, you want to check this out. You probably never see this again in your life. It started thundering and lightning during an ice storm. I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. And I went through the ice storm '94. If anyone recalls that in Mississippi, I went through that too. And this is not as bad as '94. I don't care what anybody says. But thunder, lightning, freezing rain, lights were out. I didn't bother with it too much. Went to bed. Woke up the next day, and the temperature inside the house had dropped 10 degrees. Not that big of a deal. Anybody can survive, above 60. I mean, it's fine. You get used to whatever your thermostat set on, 68 to 72, anywhere in there. You get used to it. But when it drops down to around 60 or so, you think it's cold in the house. Well, it stayed that way, and I had hopes, we'll get power back soon. No. So what we had was zero power, zero water. The water pressure was barely a trickle because the pumps and stuff that run our water from the water association, whatever you want to call it, they were out of power too. So we had zero power, zero water, zero heat because my house is entirely electric. The only thing we did was fire up some little small camping heating device, I guess you can call it, whatever you want to call it. It's Ozark Trail thing from Walmart. It's small. It takes those little 16-ounce canisters. So we had one of those and 12 little 16-ounce propane bottles. So we closed off everything in the house except the living room, moved mattresses in there. So at this point, we have 4 people camped out in the living room. We had 5 dogs here. We had 2 cats, and we had 3 reptiles. Okay, so we were trying to preserve everything we could. We got 2 of the reptiles in the living room. We ran off that little tiny heat source, and it barely kept our house at about 50 degrees. So that's a little chilly. Well, one night passed, another night passed, and we were down to 3 of those little propane bottles. So my daughter, who works at the local airport, fueling jets and fueling helicopters and all that, her manager gave us permission, if we wanted, since they had power out there, to use the airport's lounge. So we were like, okay, we're going to do that. So we packed up everything that we could. The cats actually stayed here the entire time, and they're fine. We packed up all the dogs, the reptiles, two of them, two out of the three. Packed up food, packed up supplies, whatever we could get into containers to load into a truck and a little SUV, and we went out there. We stayed there for 2 nights. My youngest daughter was able to make her way out to the house and get her reptile and take it to the hotel where she's staying. And she's still there now currently. We just got power back as of late yesterday afternoon. We actually left from the airport and came back home to restock some supplies. And during that time, some guys from Arkansas, badass, man. I give them all props in the world. You're in a completely different state and you're out here working on my street. That is awesome. But they said that they were going to flip the switch and give us power soon. Within an hour, they did. And we had power. It was awesome. And I don't want to sit here and brag that I got power that soon. And you might think it's crazy. But that soon, because we have thousands of people over here completely out of power. Thousands still out of power, out of gas because the gas trucks couldn't even come refill their tanks. Our gas stations for regular fuel had run out of gas. People searching for gas, for propane, for anything to survive. It's so devastating. It's bad. But I mean, I never disclosed where I was because the manager, which I don't blame him, said never tell where you are. Because I would imagine we might have been flooded with people trying to pile in there because we had heat, because we had water, we had, power. But, and I understand that, and that's completely, understandable. But that was our dilemma. We camped out in the house at about 50 degrees for as long as we could, and we got the hell out. Then we came back, and the power came on, which our water is still not even close to 100%. My internet connection, they actually just got it back running, give or take an hour ago. And I'm one of the lucky ones. I mean, the guy I talked to last night that was working on the lines to get the internet going said that there's about 15,000 that they have to tend to. And I just happened to be one of the lucky ones that was in line, and I was like number 300. That's bad. I feel really bad for the other people. I'm not even trying to brag that, I have power and stuff. I don't have that kind of authority or that kind of power in this county. I don't. I don't have that kind of clout, let's say that. But I just happened to be in line. Some of the first ones they got done. And this is the sad part is I'm one of the first ones that got power, internet, and all that stuff. I have people, a couple of miles down the highway that still don't have it. They don't have power. They don't have heat. They don't have water. They don't have anything. And the roads, let me get on that too. I really think that MDOT could have done a little bit better job. I'm not sure. The highway I live on still has some patchy spots in it now. And today it was in the upper 30s. So it started melting, but the road has a slope to it. So the melting was just running across and the road was wet. So now we have to worry about anything that melted running across the road. And as I'm speaking to you now, it's about 26 degrees. Tonight it's supposed to get down in the teens, maybe even lower. And they said wind chills could be around 0. Everything's going to refreeze. And we haven't had enough time for everything to melt. And you have to have everything melt and everything dry, so nothing can refreeze. Otherwise, your roads are just jacked again every single morning. And they're going to be that way until, about Monday. I just hope I have a job to go back to because I have not been there in over a week. And there's just no way. For those of you that don't know, I drive a Subaru BRZ as a daily. I can't get out of my driveway. There's about 3 inches of ice behind it. And even if I got over that 3 inches of ice, I would run into, half an inch of ice. That's enough to get that thing stuck. And even if I hit a spot in the road that has anything built up in the middle, I'm going to straddle it. It's going to just destroy whatever. And I have to travel 65 plus miles one way to get to work. Not going to happen. Now, I have a truck here, older Z71, but unfortunately, four-wheel drive doesn't work. Got some kind of issue. Got to check on that. So it's been running on two-wheel drive. I've been traveling back and forth between my house and the airport, which the first time I went there, it takes about 15 minutes. Normally, it took me 45 minutes to get there. And then we've been traveling with animals, loading up dogs. It's been an absolute nightmare. I'm going to tell you that right now. I have power right now, and that's one step closer, but it's going to be an issue. And through this weekend, it's going to be an even bigger issue because these guys that are working on everyone else's power, it's going to be difficult for them to get there because whatever's left on the roads is going to be pure ice with these cold conditions. So anyway, I just thought I'd tell the story that what's been going on. I haven't done much of anything. We are frustrated and everybody's depressed around here, and I don't blame them, not one bit. Some of them more so than we are. We actually have power and heat. It's flickered a couple times today. I was a little concerned, but so far it's okay. But the other ones, I feel bad. I feel really bad. I feel like I want to do something to help them, but at the same time, I've spent so much money just to try to, keep us alive, during this when we were trying to camp out the house. Then I've spent so much money on outside things that I normally wouldn't do or didn't need to do. And at the same time, I'm not making any money because I'm not at work and I can't get there. It's a horrible situation over here, but we'll make it through. I told my wife, don't worry about finances. We'll make it through somehow or another and get everything situated. As long as we're alive, we're all good. We'll figure it out from there. Main thing is to stay alive. And that's what we've managed to do. That's what other people are still struggling to do right now. We already have, I think, 13 or so confirmed deaths in northern Mississippi. It's not a good situation over here. But we'll keep on keeping on, and nothing else we can do. See what happens next. I don't know if I'll be able to get out tomorrow. Maybe take that truck to work. I'm not even sure. We'll just play it day by day. See what happens. Been a nightmare, but we'll be back at it. We'll make it, and most of everybody else will too. I feel for the people really, really struggling, but we'll get through it. Later, people.